To many of you, it's no secret that I don't love Christmas. So then why, you may ask, do I continually make the Holiday Barbie dress year after year? Except of course for the year that I made the Kylie Jenner Christmas dress, my chicken laid an egg on me.
Guess what? Chicken butt.
Which for some reason was on Yahoo News. I digress. Well, for one, I love Barbie. And two, there's sort of a tragic origin story to all of this. The year was 2000, and with the new millennium came my new favorite toy, the 2000 Holiday Barbie. To me, it seemed her dress was weaved of pure magic and her golden locks made my heart flutter. But one night I made a mistake. I went to sleep in the basement bedroom that I shared with my two older brothers. I woke up with my bed surrounded by 6 inches of water as far as the eye could see, and in the distance, my Holiday Barbie floating along in it. I didn't know where the liquid came from, but I knew I was determined to jump in and save my Barbie. Until my oldest brother, Landon, woke up and said, "Oh no, Micah wet the bed again." That's right, he convinced me the entire basement had been flooded via my 6.5-year-old brother's bladder. After that, even when my parents tried to tell me otherwise, I was convinced they were just trying to cover up for Micah. And so I never touched my Holiday Barbie again. I don't know if that story speaks more negatively to Landon for lying, to me for believing it, or to Micah for having such famously bad bladder control that story was believable. Now please feel free to do some mental gymnastics to somehow make that the origin story for why I now make Holiday Barbie dresses. Speaking of which, I wasn't gonna make this year's, and then somebody prematurely made a fan art of me wearing the dress, and I kind of feel like my hands are tied now, so. Merry Christmas. My gift to you is the fact that this video doesn't have a sponsor. Let's get to it then. Now let's begin by unboxing the doll to some grunting sound effects. It's to have this down to a science. Okay, so here are some of my initial thoughts. TBLLA, which are the initials for this bodice looks like armor. I get strong Christmas warrior princess vibes from her, and I feel like the only thing she's really missing is a weapon. Like the fact that we have straps and off-the-shoulder sleeves. It feels kind of redundant, and apparently I'm not alone in this because the person who made the fan art of me thought so too. The skirt is made of a fabric that's very hard to match. I've looked around at a lot of fabric stores and haven't found anything remotely similar, so I'm gonna have to get creative. I'm all out of creativity. I used the last of it on my candy cane shank. So we're just gonna use a plain fabric for the skirt. And last we have these little poof things that I think could be constructed identically to the Cinderella skirt. I think I'm going to start by making the bodice or breastplate. Now on the one hand, I really like that they went with the breastplate look for this because it really embodies 2021. We've seen the breastplate repeatedly on the red carpet, worn by the likes of Zendaya and some other people, and most notably Zendaya. So it is a certified official look. Now on the other hand, the fact that this is a breastplate makes me want to take a candy cane shank to the eye because how the heck am I supposed to make this? I could use EVA foam like I did when I made a Wonder Woman costume, or I could have a real armor make me an actual breastplate, and bonus, it might maybe be bulletproof. Or I could use this stiff paper vinyl stuff that I found at a store in Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah, we'll start with that.
To construct the bodice, I used this pattern that I drafted while making my Little Mermaid Kiss the Girl bodice. Oh wait, you never actually saw me make that? Well, that's your fault for not breaking into my house and secretly installing cameras that you watch me on 24/7. Well, these are the pieces you'll need. Take the front two side, put the front, fold them.
Okay, moment of truth. Will my machine actually sew through this? Who thinks it's gonna work? Who thinks it's not gonna work? It works! Now let's open it up. This could have gone much worse. Now we're not gonna be able to use an iron to press the inside seams open.
So I just pushed all the excess flesh to the side, then flattened it down with the top stitch. Then I repeated those steps on the second layer. The second layer is important because one layer cannot achieve bulletproofness. And I mean neither can 2 layers, but you'll feel safer. And now attach the 2 back panels to the front sides. Now the great thing about sewing with a papery plastic is that it won't fray. The bad thing about sewing with a papery plastic is...
Doesn't that sound comfy?
After forcing the front panel to give the back panel a chest bump, I sewed the 2 panels together along the top and bottom, leaving the sides open.
Now we are going to try to flip this very stiff thing inside out. You know, this is suddenly reminding me of, does anybody remember when I made a dress out of feed bags? Did I? Is that a video actually? Yes, I did. It's a very low quality video, but the dress turned out okay, so hopefully that means this will turn out okay. I have a bad feeling about this. No, something's dripping. I should have just sewed the middle front part and then flipped that inside out and then added the sides. I know this now. I wish I could just ask my future self, is this gonna work? Should I just give up?
No, it worked. Keep going.
Hey, who won the 2024 Olympics?
I'm only a few days in the future.
Oh.
In the Olympics, there's not really like one winner. It doesn't work like that. There are multiple.
Oh.
Also, you're really out of frame.
Oh.
The way that you say, oh, really reminds me of when the Green Goblin dies.
Oh. I don't have any more of this fabric, so if this turns out awful, I am up a creek without a saddle. This is a job for time lapse. Ta-da! It worked out perfectly. I'm getting one.
Agonizing as this was, it wasn't the worst reaching into a whole experience of my life. Because when I was 16, there was a dead possum in my yard, but its stomach was still moving, so I could tell there were babies inside, so I reached inside of its hole and pulled out the babies. I kept them as pets for a few weeks, but then I went off to summer camp, and when I came home, I didn't have pet possums anymore. I don't know what happened. Ask my dad.
I literally need to know now.
And it's a good thing I rested while I could, aside from having to get up and turn the camera off. Because the next day, I had a double ankylosis tooth extraction. Basically baby teeth embedded in your jaw. So I woke up early, gave my son a kiss goodbye.
Mwah.
And transported myself to the dreaded chair, where my super cool dentist and I looked at pictures of airplanes. And subsequently, he yanked out my cherished childhood chompers.
So that went really well. I know I don't sound right, but it's just really numb. You need to go get my prescription, and I really need some soup. You know, some soup for like hunger, and you don't have to chew on soup. Oh look,
A couple prescriptions here.
Eventually, I'm all there.
Oh, of course you are, yes.
No, actually,
You have some blood dripping out of your mouth.
no, you don't. Ah! Get this. They're letting me keep on. All's good. All's fair and love and war. And get some tomato soup. I would like the tomato soup. I gotta get the money to get my orthodontist because I have an orthodontist appointment. I'd like to deposit this check. I'd also like to retrieve $8,250. So in my city, the Starbucks is only open until 1 p.m. So I'm gonna take advantage of that because it's not every day I'm open for 1 p.m. Hi, I would like a medium sweet tea with only 1 shot of espresso. I just got teeth removed but a little hard to pass.
Well, it's been 12 days since I got those teeth removed, and some of those days have arguably been some of the worst of my life. Aside from getting dry socket and having my literal jawbone exposed and scraping against my tongue, I also got a nasty stomach bug that sent the rest of my body into agony. Now I hope you'll allow me to regale the experience to you in song form. In the 12 days since we spoke, I've dealt with misery. 12 liquid meals, 11 calls to mom, 10 days of crying, 9 pounds were lost, 8 diarrhea, 7 a.m. screaming, 6 medication, 5 missed events, 4 sleepless nights, 3 dentist calls, 2 days of puking, and a day of non-stop convulsions.
The best part of that whole ordeal was non-existent, but the best part of it being over was when my dad, who had been faithfully watching Garion, finally brought him back home to me. Oh, but then that mood was ruined when he brought me my mail and I saw how my name was spelled on my newest credit card.
Remember this thing? Yeah, the video kind of got away from the whole
Holiday Barbie dress.
but because, as you may recall, we are not able to iron this, we're going to top stitch along the edge to make it really lay flat.
After that, I added boning, which now slides seamlessly through the gaps in my smile. But 2 zip ties in, I quickly realized
It is so naturally stiff that I don't think the boning added anything to it.
our miniature model indicated to me that the back should be laced shut, so it was time to add some grommets.
Now before you comment that my rug needs vacuum, this is all very purposeful. These are all tiny little bird seeds. It's for Garion's foraging. It's good for his, like, cognitively. You just have to be there. In fact, I just realized I lost my marker opening teeth. Well, the grommets turned out okay, and I can only assume that the reason they didn't turn out superb is that the house isn't decorated for Christmas. So I think before I go any further, I should take care of that.
Come, all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. Come.
Listen, I know it's really festive for me, but something about having your own house does make Christmas time more appealing.
Wow, look at this festive masterpiece.
What do you think?
It looks so good and you look so cute.
Thank you.
If you closely examine Barbie's armor, you'll see hints of bedazzlement, so gosh golly, my armor was gonna be bedazzled too. I used a combination of E6000 and hot glue and finished just in time right before the power went out.
So the power just went out, which means there will be no heat tonight. And I was like, okay, well, who cares? I'll just bundle up.
It'll be really cute.
I'm primitive and stuff. And then I remembered Garion. You're not native to these icy parts of the world, are you? Or South American beauty. Delicate treasure of the Amazon. So we will have to scurry off into the stormy night and go to my father's house. I'm sorry, I don't know what it is about candlelight that just makes me talk in a dark and moody tone. We need to get out of here.
Driving during power outages is pretty sweet. There are just no red lights. It's very freeing.
And maybe probably dangerous. Where even am I? Oh, it's Little Caesars.
I snuck quietly into my father's house and tucked myself gently into my old bed. After a few minutes, father poked his head in with his hood up and gloves on. Turns out he thought I was a bat, and that's what he wears to catch bats.
It is day 2 of the great outage. I'm using what little phone battery I have left to tell you Father's house is now without power as well. I'm keeping the Amazonian treasure safe and warm until my very last breath. You're safe with me.
Hey, I'm trying to keep you warm.
You have returned. I relish the sweet delicacy of power.
Okay, now it is time to drape some off-the-shoulder sleeves, but to do this, we're going to have to first make some arms. I thought it would look just like this with her hands on her hips. I really overestimated the length of these socks. It's such a vibe though.
To make the off-the-shoulder straps, I cut out 2 folded over pieces of tulle, as long and as wide as a skateboard. I sewed along the long open edge, then reached inside and flipped the pieces right side out. Then I pleated and ironed it several times, kind of like an accordion. My paternal grandfather was in an accordion band and I couldn't be prouder. Well, I probably could be if he had like saved a bunch of people in a war or something.
Now what say you we try this bad lad on? Well, it kind of fits. I'm gonna try to get the sleeves to lay down a little bit more saggy, and I'm also gonna take a few days to try to gain some weight because this pattern was drafted
several pounds ago.
It's laced as tight as it can go, and I'm just not happy with it. Before moving forward with your skirt, you may want to fill any empty spots on the wall, as empty spots will cause something of a distraction. Oh, this might work. There. No more distractions. Now it's time to drape the skirt, and we're going to use these fabrics. A white satin overlaid with a sparkly gray tulle.
Fold your 8 yards of tulle in half and then figure out how long it needs to be. Fold it a trillion more times, then cut about a Christmas lights box width off the bottom. Now trace a giant pizza slice or just a long paper triangle, then sew the edges of those triangles together to create darts. I can't remember why I felt like adding these was necessary, for I intended to gather the top of the skirt anyways, but what is Christmas all about if not going through the motions of pointless activities for the sake of tradition? I cut out, folded, then ironed down my waistband. Then, while grabbing the tulle, I got a shot of Garion that I'm pretty sure is the image good people see when they die. Now cuddle up to your machine, then turn it to the longest stitch width. Drag the top of the entire 8 yards of your tulle through. Repeat this step on the white satin. Then grab one of those sassy little threads on the end and tug on it till the top of your skirt is as wide as your festive little waist. Repeat those same steps on the tulle. Then lay the disgustingly contagious glittery mass on top of your white satin and tuck it all lovingly into the waistband. Once you've inhaled a sufficient amount of sparkles, hem under your satin skirt. Then be sure you cut your tulle to the right length. Fit a mannequin with both your hoop skirt and your Ariana Grande Grammy skirt. These will both be worn under the Holiday Barbie dress that you will totally definitely actually be making. To close the back of the skirt, close up the glittery abomination layer first, then the satin, but leave the top few inches open.
People don't tell you this, but sewing is
Really hard on your back and neck.
like... Ignore that.
To make Barbie's puffy hip clouds, I first had to pay a visit to my dear friend Karen.
One of these days you'll want me to record your face.
I doubt that.
I basically cut out the shape of 2 gigantic smiles, each as wide as 2 arms and as long as 1. I didn't end up making these anything like I made my Cinderella puffs, and that's because I watched the video of me making the Cinderella dress and I found the tutorial to be quite inadequate. After gather stitching the top of my smiles, I hot glued them to the inside of the sides of my bodice. Now I would have modeled the dress the very next morning after finishing it, but alas, that was the day that Spider-Man No Way Home came out. I was frantically trying to figure out what to wear. Obviously, I wanted to wear this, but didn't really have time to make it, so I had to go with this. We went to see it in a theater a couple hours away, and on the way there, I wrote an essay ranking all the Spider-Man franchises with time I should have spent editing this video. The film was great, and afterwards, we celebrated my brother Micah's birthday. Look, I was even brave enough to sit on his bed. You'd get it if you paid attention to the beginning of the video.
Oh, look how we've grown. Layton's really aged well. Alas, all we have to make now is a bracelet.
And I think we can agree it would be more time efficient for the both of us if I just don't explain how to make it.
Before getting ready, let's see what we have to work with. We have a side part. Don't come for me, Gen Z. It was her idea. Red lip, smoky eye, thick eyebrows.
And now, my friends, family, strangers, enemies, I now present you with the grand reveal.
Hi, I'm Holiday Barbie. Oh, I think my credit card's a little bit in front of the lens. By the way, if you're curious where I model this dress every year, it just so happens that this Christmas tree is right outside of the police department, which is always a little awkward. Let's go rescue my sisters. It does kind of match. Yeah.
What?
You know who I am?
Quit crying, you can get a picture.
You want to be in the video?
She does the Barbies.
Merry Christmas! Hi! Is that a waitress?
Yeah.
Oh.
Find everything you're looking for?
I sure did. Whatever will I do with these 2 Barbies? Well, if you screenshot your favorite part of this video and put it on your Instagram story, I might send one of these Barbies to you, signed with my name on the box, probably eliminating all future value from the doll.
Or maybe I'll just send you one of my coveted 2021 Christmas cards.
Chest bump. Okay, listen, I don't know how much pull I have in this sort of thing, but I would like to formally request that next year's Holiday Barbie has either long sleeves, shoulder-length gloves, or a coat, because this is very painful for me.
Come, all ye faithful.
Yeah, looks like it.
Joy